guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we're going to be speaking about my journey through education, and it's going to be probably a good few parts. I mean, I'll cut this after like 10 minutes and then I'll carry it on in the next couple of videos. So yeah, let's get on with the video, and I really hope that you enjoy this. It's going to be raw, honest, and I'm going to tell you some things that, you know, I have done and I'm not proud of. So yeah, let's get on with this video. Smash a thumbs up down below, subscribe to my channel, and tell me what you thought of this video, and if you've got any ideas for the next upcoming videos, I guess. So yeah, enjoy the video and I'll speak to you soon. Whoa. So for this part we're going to be speaking about you know, my secondary school journey, as my primary school journey wasn't really very, you know, exciting. I'll give you a quick brief explanation of my primary school and my infant school. I don't know what the ages are, so obviously nursery is anything from like 2 years old up to 3 or 4. Then you start infant school, which is from like 4 till 6 maybe, or 7, I'm not really sure. And then, you know, from about 7 you're then into primary and secondary school. And some schools, you know, have a secondary and a primary put together, so it's year 3 all the way to year 11 and plus. And some schools just have like separate buildings for separate schools. So my school was 3 separate schools. I had to go to an infant, primary, then secondary, and they're all completely different schools. That was my experience with primary, and my primary school experience was, you know, I couldn't concentrate. I was never good at maths. I was always behind, really bad at spelling and writing. My reading age was always below average. And I used to always get feedback, well, my parents always used to get feedback on my, you know, reading, that I skip words and I kind of like put in my own words. I guess the words, and the story is kind of like what I'm elaborating, what I'm saying, and what I'm imagining, rather than what it actually says on the paper, on the book. So that was kind of like, you know, the educational side of it in primary school. And socially, I never had any friends. I was always in, you know, friendship group falling out. I was always on my own. I was always the one to be a bit jealous of other people having other friends, and I was always the one that just sat on the bench by myself pretty much. And everyone's parents always used to say that they didn't like me. You know, my mum doesn't like you. You know, it was always that sort of, you know, atmosphere for me. So yeah, that's a quick brief explanation of the infant and primary. They're not really hugely, you know, special in my educational journey, because I was young. You know, all my symptoms were there, because you know I'm going to do a video of my mum about my younger years and my symptoms, so I don't want to give too much away in that aspect, but there were definitely ADHD traits or autistic traits within my early years. So yeah, let's get on to secondary school. So through secondary school, from year 7 upwards, you know, that secondary school in England, I started when I was 11, because I was one of the youngest. Oh yeah, anyway, I started when I was at 11 or 12, I'm not really sure, but it was round about that age. You know, I wasn't naughty at that age. I was just struggling academically and socially. That's how my ADHD was coming across to others in the school environment. I was struggling academically, socially. So I was always in friendship falling out all the time, forgetting my PE kit, forgetting my planner, just being disorganised and struggling with the routine and keeping up with commitments. I hated any type of group activity or clubs. I didn't get involved, and if I did, I never turned up. And I'd go for one club one time and then give up because I didn't have any, you know, commitment. I couldn't commit to any of those groups. So yeah, that, you know, year 7 again wasn't hugely special in the ADHD journey, but you know, towards the end of year 8 I started to trigger behaviour points, because I was forgetting stuff, getting into arguments with people, and that was when, you know, I think I started to go on the radar for for teachers, because, you know, they saw me as disorganised and forgetful, and, you know, it was that type of behaviour for year 7 rather than naughty behaviour. So that was year 7. So year 8 is kind of where it gets a bit juicy. My behaviour started to definitely, you know, go downhill. I began to hang around with the wrong type of people, the ones that were loud, immature, and I definitely, you know, started to, you know, mask who I actually was and adapt to a different Molly in different types of scenarios. I'd be one Molly here, another Molly there, and at home I was Molly, but, you know, it was Molly built up with a lot of frustration, anxiety, and I was a volcano when I was at home, because everything that I had to hold in at school was coming out at home. So my parents basically got it in the neck from me, basically. So at school I would do petty things like muck around in class, you know, chat back here and there, or, you know, get my phone out when you're not meant to, forget my planner, doodle on my planner. And it was just little things like that that started to accumulate, and things, you know, it definitely got worse as year 8 went on. So I'm going to grab my school reports and just read a few things that happened in year 8, because then I want to give you a really, you know, true and honest kind of insight into what happened in year 8. And year 9 and year 10 and year 11 were even worse, but like I say, this video needs to be cut, you know, otherwise we're going to be going on hours and none of you really want to see that. So I'm going to go grab my reports, and then I'm going to show you, well not show you, read to you some of the comments teachers made about me that definitely strikes as ADHD, but obviously it was undiagnosed. I didn't have a label, so there wasn't any help. I couldn't get no help, but definitely carry on listening and watching my next few videos, because it does get juicy. There's things that my parents don't know that I'm going to tell you, so sorry mum. Yeah. Ooh. So these here, I don't know if you can see the thickness. These are my school reports. So I'm gonna try somewhere and try and find the ones I actually want to tell you about. So bear with me, and I'll get back to you. But I got them. I don't know, can you? It's gonna be backwards, isn't it? But that's my school reports. Look. So this is like kind of, these are just year 8s, and there's like 6 pages of bad reports. So I only have the ones that were needed for my ADHD diagnosis. Right, so these are the school reports for year 8. Like I was saying before my dog interrupted, I don't have the severe reports. I only have the ones that were needed for my ADHD diagnosis, and these are just like a rough report, behaviour points, the ones that they put on the computer and then they get sent home to your parents and explain why you've got detention, you know, all those type of reports. Because the severe ones apparently I'm not allowed to have, so I don't know why. If I can get hold of them, there'll be another video, but I doubt that I'm going to be able to get hold of them. So we just have to make do with these, but it just, even the non-severe ones are severe. So yeah, I'm going to shut up and just kind of read you a few that kind of just give you an insight into my ADHD when it was undiagnosed. So I'm going to read you maybe like a page or 2 pages of just comments that teachers made about me, and you could just get a quick insight into Molly and when I was younger and at school, so that you can kind of realise you're not alone and your kids are normal.
What, Dad?
So yeah, I'm going to get going reading you some of these. It's just so that you guys can kind of, what's the word, like you can relate to me, so that you may not feel so alone and know that your kids are struggling because of their ADHD. And some behaviours that your children may do at school, you might think, oh my god, that's only my child would do that. Nope. I've probably done it. I've probably done it worse, actually. Because where I kind of went undiagnosed, I didn't have a label. I was just seen as naughty and like acting out. But I wasn't. I was like suffering. So, yeah, I'm going to read you some of these reports, as I keep saying, and we'll get going from there. And yeah, there's one severe one that I've got up here that I know, like, that I can, you know, I can tell you about, and I'm 100% sure what age, what month, because it happened and it was quite bad. So yeah, I'll let you know about that, and then I'm going to talk to you about one teacher in particular that helped me through year 8, you know, year 9, year 10 and year 11, but I'm not going to go to year 10 and 11. We're going to do year 8, year 9 today, and then 10 and 11 next video. But yeah, so let's get on with my report. So this is the kind of like the middle of year 8, and it says, stamped on a yogurt pot during break time, resulting in another student's trousers becoming dirty. I did not see this, but there were witnesses and Molly was caught on CCTV. Right, that's one. That's the first one. So it's like minor incidents like that. Well, not minor, but there was stupidity, immature things that accumulated into more severe behaviour issues in class. So yeah, I'm going to shut up and just keep reading you. So the next one is, Molly struggled to concentrate all lesson and took every opportunity to distract others. I have set a lunchtime detention. I was always in detention. I don't think I ever actually experienced what a break is. No, I'm joking. Oh yeah, I'm not joking about detentions. I usually got them after school because people needed a break from me at school. It wasn't the other way around. I didn't need a break. They needed a break from me. But yeah, the next one is, ready? Molly was heavily distracted during my lesson, and despite my attempts to get her to settle and stop calling out and talking and disrupting others, she continued to disrupt twice more, made inappropriate comments about others in the group, talked to at the end of lesson, and I will be monitoring next lesson as she seems to be getting worse. That's the third one. So as you can see, it's starting to, you know, in lesson now rather than in the playground, it's starting to like deteriorate my behaviour into lessons now, and I'm being disrespectful to the teachers, you know. So it used to, you know, it started off as monitoring equipment, Molly not having suitable trainers for PE, Molly forgetting her planner. That it all started like that, monitoring blazer, Molly forgot her blazer. You know, it's all things like that it started, but now obviously it's deteriorating and it's starting to come into lesson. So yeah, Molly continued to talk over me. I get so frustrated by Molly as she is a really nice girl and has never been nasty. I hope she responds well to being on report card. Some of the problem today was continuing calling out when I had worked very hard to control and engage the group. Her points were valid, but she needs to understand to put her hand up and wait until she is asked to answer. She can also get involved in silly little disruptive behaviour that needs to stop. Again, I'm getting into, you know, this is when I started to hang around with some of the girls that, you know, truanted, bunked lesson. But I was at that age, I wasn't really bothered by not going to lesson. I was just like bothered about causing the trouble in the lesson. I wanted to be in lesson because it was fun. I didn't want to be outside, you know, doing nothing. I wanted to be in the lesson, in that drama, causing that drama, being the centre of attention, even though I hated it. I hated being centre of attention, but it happened so naturally that I always ended up being the centre of attention. Now try and understand that, because I still don't understand how I get myself into situation where I get, what is that in my eye? Yeah, I don't understand so yeah, I still don't understand to this day why I naturally always get myself into situations that make me centre of attention when I hate it. I don't know. If you know why, tell me, because I certainly don't know why. So yeah. So yeah, as you can see, I was starting to definitely become a little bit more chirpy with the teachers. So yeah. So the next one is, decided to talk over me many times. Warnings were given with absolutely no effect. Then Molly decided it was okay to drink in a science lab. Molly is well aware that drinking is not allowed in the science room, as I have stopped her during this lesson and actually every lesson, as I have to stop her doing it every lesson. She has poor attitude. Molly had a quick meeting with her mentor, Mrs. Jones, returned with a half-hearted apology and admitted she couldn't see what she was doing was wrong. I like Molly, but she has definitely changed since I taught her last year. So teachers are now starting to realise that my behaviour is getting worse and, you know, I'm changing. I'm becoming less Molly and more ADHD. So, yeah. So the next one was, Molly spent half of the lesson refusing to engage in her work. In this period, she consistently failed to stop looking at inappropriate websites when asked, refused to move seats and spoke rudely to me when I challenged her. Okay. Again, it just shows and it just proves that I'm becoming more chirpy and a little bit more confident when it comes to speaking up and standing up for myself. So the next one is, Molly knows full well that bringing fizzy drinks and energy drinks into school is banned, yet she brings them every day. I confiscated 3 of her this morning and saw her at lunchtime with another one. Parents are being called. Again, you know, I'm defying and disobeying people's, well, not even people's, it's school's rules. But for some reason, I thought they didn't apply to me. Extremely disruptive the whole lesson, minimal work, consistently talking over me, rude to staff when challenged, kept throwing bits of glue, aiming at other people's hair. So yeah, again, rude to staff, keep throwing bloody glue in people's hair. And again, caught eating twice in registration, half an hour detention set. So I couldn't obviously get my head around, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that. In Molly's world, it was Molly's rules, Molly done what she wants. Still to this day, it's Molly does what she wants. But I know that they're there for a reason, they're there for people's safety, but I didn't then. But my ADHD is now treated, so, and I've got the diagnosis, so I understand why. So yeah. So the next one is, Molly continues to talk over me time and time again, warn time and time again, sent to another room to work. I am concerned that Molly cannot see that her actions are why she is getting sent out. She will continue to defend herself in quite a calm way when being spoken to. I am very quickly running out of ideas to keep her attention in class. I taught Molly last year and she was great. Something has definitely changed and she is nothing like she used to be. So again, people are realising that my behaviour has definitely changed. And at this time, I'm going to jump in and say, I was now on behaviour report card with the deputy head teacher, but you usually don't go straight to the deputy head. You go, you know, subject, tutor report, and then it goes on to like your head of year, then I think it's senior member, then deputy head. But I went being not on any report card, any behaviour, you know, monitoring thing, to being straight to the deputy head teacher, who then could ultimately decide whether my future is at that school or I'm being kicked out. But that didn't even trigger anything in my mind. It was almost like a competition for me. I don't understand. I saw it as more of a, let's see how much I can wind her up. Let's see how much I can do. See how far I can push her. Why? I don't understand. I definitely think that I do have ODD as well, the oppositional defiance disorder. I definitely think I've got that, because along with ADHD, I definitely like to be in control, and I like to, you know, let people know that I'm going to do what I want rather than even accepting any type of help. So the next one is, Molly told another pupil to F off. Okay, obviously I had learnt a new vocabulary. I was definitely becoming a little bit more chirpy. Right, again, so the next one. Molly repeatedly threw lumps of prick stick around the room and aimed it at other students, including me. Damage to the classroom and another pupil's blazer. Okay, Molly is incapable at present of acknowledging why she is persistently disruptive. She is unable to understand that every comment she makes in lesson is torment to disruption of the lesson. This happens persistently and she eventually gets told off or removed from the lesson. This cannot go on and she will be placed in inclusion. So for those of you that don't know what inclusion is, in the school that I went to, inclusion was a room that consisted of one teacher, desks that were like 2 or 3 meters apart from each other. You weren't allowed to speak. All your phones got taken off of you at the beginning of the day. You were not allowed outside at break time. All the privileges were taken. You had to sit and eat your lunch or your break time, you know, snacks, on the middle table in front of other teachers so they can see what you were doing. You had these like boards that separated students so that you couldn't chat or, you know, distract anybody. You literally got sent work from that lesson. So if you were like period 1, you got that work was brought down and you completed it. You weren't allowed to go take that work back. A student came and took the work and took it back to lesson. You weren't allowed out of that room. You were confined to that room as a punishment. To me, I didn't like it, but I always ended up there, weirdly enough, you know, whatever. So again, it just shows that they're saying I was incapable of understanding why I'm acting like that, which is obviously, it was natural to me. It just happened. It was just something that just happened, and you know, I had no excuse. I shouldn't be acting like that, but it just happened, didn't it? That was, sorry, I'm not organised like you know. The next comment that was put on my year 8 report was failing to do as told, throwing a book at me but landed on the floor in front of me. So I was then throwing a book at a teacher. I sat out of an activity where everyone was changing partners every minute, telling me openly in front of another student, this is shit and I'm not going to do it, I hate it. This was after repeated requests for Molly to join in. I then spoke with Molly about the disproportionate amount of time that she was demanding and consuming, but I've told you I don't want to do it, was her response. Department inclusion was set. Molly's mentor, Mrs. Jones, has now been informed of her poor attitude towards me and my staff. This was PE, right? So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about PE. The teacher that I had was very young. She was pretty much should have been in school herself, I think. But she wasn't a great teacher for me. She ultimately always challenged me. She never asked, can you explain to me why you don't want to do this? It was always, do it or you get out, basically. For girls, I think PE is a little bit more, what's the word like? Well, right, I'm just going to go out there and say it. For me, it was because I'm a bigger girl, as in my boobs. I'm a bigger girl. I'm not a small build girl. I'm tall, you know, curvy, and I'm not small around this area. So I didn't like it because everyone else was skinny and small and they didn't have boobs. They didn't have any, and I always felt fat. I always kind of had an issue with that, and I didn't like being on the trampoline because I didn't like it, you know. I was very self-conscious at this age, coming up 13. You know, any child that, you know, any teenager, with or without ADHD, they get, you know, they get like this. You do get self-conscious, and I was, yet it was blamed on bad behaviour. But obviously with my ADHD being undiagnosed, I had no help and I had no way of understanding what to do, what to say, how to communicate. I wasn't feeling okay doing that. My answer was be defiant, say no, walk away. You know, that was my issue. I'd done it. That was my fault. But yeah, so I didn't like PE. But I was a very sporty person. I enjoyed running and around and like mucking around. I always had energy, like you guys would know. I spent most of my time running around the school and running the teachers ragged. Like, I liked being active, and I was an active person, but just not in front of people, you know, in shorts and a skimpy t-shirt. I didn't like that. So yeah, that was that. Right, so the next one is not reading in Eric and phone out, confiscated phone and still off of task. So Eric is, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what it stands for, but it's like reading in class. It's like you have to read for like an hour or something. Not for me. I couldn't do it. You know, I'd have my book like this and my phone behind it and be like, and I'd have my headphones. But when I was at school, we didn't have earpods. Otherwise, I probably could have got away with actually having my earphones in with long hair. But obviously, I went back to school in the Stone Ages. I left in 2014, so as you can tell, you know, I haven't been in school for a little while and things have changed. But with all the equipment now and technology, I could have got away with a lot more things, trust me. I refused to read, had my phone out, it was confiscated, then I kicked off. Then I was still off task and swore, basically. That's what happened. You know, it's plain and simple. Again, so the next day, the next day on here, it's constant use of mobile phone despite warnings, following of the behaviour policy. Molly refused to begin her work, constant refusal, rudeness towards me. Molly was made to apologise, which was very reluctantly. On call was called. And teachers have lessons and periods that they're free. So, you know, any child that's, you know, kicking off or having a naughty time, just, not in lesson, not following rules, they'll get sent out. And instead of them wandering around the halls or being sent somewhere, you get this teacher that is like a behaviour teacher that is trained to, kind of help this sort of situations. They never did, they always escalated them. Yes, I was sent out and on-call was called, and they made me apologise, but I kind of, well, like you say, I've done it reluctantly. So yeah, I've only got a couple more for year 8, then it goes on to year 9, but I'm bad at this, aren't I? So the next one is level 4, so this is level 4, so it goes from level 1, which is, it's the least of the severity kind of scale. It goes to level 1 to level 7, and this is level 4, so it's in the severity thing. These are the texts that get sent home to your parents, so they're always aware of like what's happening. As soon as this is put onto the computer, it's then sent straight to your parents, so your parents will be aware what happened, like at that precise moment in time, and they know after school, so you better get your story straight. You better start coming up with a little bit of a lie to get you out of this. And I did all the time. No. So yeah, it says, whenever I see Molly, she is out of lesson or tutor. This morning she was out of tutor and I asked her where she was going, and she refused to answer any of my questions and simply walked off. This is a repeat pattern of every time I encounter Molly across the school. I am concerned. Again, the next one is using her mobile phone and not reading, texting in self-study. So yeah, that's those ones, because then they go on to like more kind of year 10 and 11, because year 9, I'm just going to tell you, because I don't have that thing, I lost that. So yeah, I'm going to quickly go on to year 9 and give you, there was loads that happened in year 9, so we might be here a while. I might have to skip a few and do it in the next video. But yeah, let me just, But remember to smash a thumbs up down below, subscribe to my channel, and tell me what you thought of this video. And if you've got any ideas for the next upcoming videos, I guess. And I'll speak to you soon.